Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat? The Saints are now the betting favorite to win the NFC South. We know that. Talked about it. DraftKings has the Saints at plus 130, so they're the betting favorite to win the South. This will be the first time since 1973 that every team in the same division will have a new starting quarterback year to year. The last time it happened was in the AFC West in 1973. So, of course, with the Saints adding Derek Carr, that means Jameis Winston won't be the starting quarterback next year. We know that. Tom Brady won't be back. Baker Mayfield is not in Carolina, and clearly Marcus Mariota has already been released in Atlanta. So all four teams in the NFC South will have a new starting quarterback. And so it's going to be an interesting test case watching the division this year to see how the different approaches, how each team is approaching their rebuild differently, and what manner is most successful. For example, the Saints are still trying to win. That much is clear. They are holding on to their veteran players. They just signed Derek Carr. The Saints see an open door in a weak division to add a good starting quarterback to win the division, go to the playoffs, and see if you can make a run. Carolina has built a good, talented young roster. They very well could be drafting their franchise quarterback this year with a top 10 pick. We'll see what Carolina elects to do. Atlanta has really worked on rebuilding their roster as well. After their purge, they let Matt Ryan go. They let Julio Jones go. Atlanta purged, and they're trying to rebuild their roster. Is Desmond Ridder the guy? Do they draft another quarterback this year? Remains to be seen. Do they go after Lamar Jackson? I know what they've said publicly, but that's another manner of going about doing it. And Tampa now is in full-on fire sale the thing. It's like what the Marlins did after both of their World Series championships. Everything we have good, come on, take it. And the latest move is that Tampa has released their starting left tackle, Donovan Smith. Now, Donovan Smith had a really rough year this past season in Tampa. He was objectively their worst offensive lineman. It was his worst NFL season, as a matter of fact. His pass rush win rate was 78%. His run block win rate was 64%. It was a brutal year for Donovan Smith. He was also one of the most penalized tackles in the league. In fairness, he did battle some really significant injuries, but he was expensive. He had a $17.9 million cap hit for this year. His release opens up almost $10 million. Remember, Tampa, against the cap, was in a very similar situation to New Orleans. They entered the offseason $55 million over the cap. So what with New Orleans with their approach to the cap in years prior. And this is a real obvious illustration of two teams who took a very similar approach and to get where they were in competing for championships, and are now taking very different approaches in how they're moving forward past their Hall of Fame quarterback. So the Saints, we know what they did, right? I mean, they restructured contracts. They took on dead cap money. They put themselves in a very bad cap situation to try to surround Drew Brees with talent to win a championship before he retired. It didn't happen. Tampa did the exact same thing when they brought in Tom Brady. And look at all the free agents they brought in. If it was Gronk, if it was Leonard Fournette, it was Kyle Rudolph a year ago. I mean, you all know the drill. I mean, they just kept on trying to add pieces however they had to do it and make the numbers work to try to get a championship with Tom Brady. And they did it in 2020 and then fell short the last 2 years. But now Tom Brady's retired, and you look at this roster and you're way over the cap. You don't have a good starting quarterback situation. You've got some talent, but you've got to mess with the cap. Tampa could do what the Saints are doing, which is say, look, we still got a lot of talented players. Let's see what we can do to keep shuffling the deck and bring in a starting caliber quarterback. What if we trade for Lamar Jackson? What if we sign Derek Carr? Who's out there that could maybe get us right back into contention? But Tampa's not doing that. They're doing the exact opposite of what New Orleans is doing. Tampa is yard sailing everything. They've released Donovan Smith. We know that they're going to release Leonard Fournette. And it's Cameron Brate is expected, their tight end, Cameron Brate is expected to be released as well. So Tampa is going into this offseason doing what a lot of people kind of, well, yours truly, were hoping the Saints would do. Acknowledge what you are cut bait, minimize your losses, accept your losses for what they are, and start building toward a future again. Maybe it's a step back to take 3 steps forward. Instead, the Saints continue to double down. Tampa is in rebuild mode. And it's like, I know I've used this analogy before, but it's like going to the casino. And, both the Saints and the Bucs gambled. They gambled. And unfortunately for New Orleans, they didn't win their Super Bowl. Tampa did. And now the Saints keep going back to the ATM to get more cash to try to make back what they lost. And meanwhile, Tampa's like, hey, look, we won our Super Bowl. We're good. We can push away from the table. We can cut our losses for the last 2 years and start to rebuild moving forward. That's what Denver did after Peyton Manning retired, but they won their Super Bowl. The hardest part for the Saints is they never got back to the top of the mountain with Drew Brees. They were all in with that approach and came up short. And instead of acknowledging you missed, cut your losses, and move on, they continue to go to the ATM, get more cash, and going right back to that table, pushing all their chips in, trying to hit that jackpot. And my fear is, in so doing, you're just digging the hole deeper and deeper and deeper. So 4 teams in the NFC South, all 4 with very different approaches as they're rebuilding post their franchise quarterbacks. Cam Newton, Matt Ryan, Tom Brady, and, of course, Drew Brees. 4 different approaches for all the teams in the division. How they move through it is going to be fascinating to watch throughout the NFL. Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.